What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna be discussing a debate I had with a law Christian on TikTok in front of about 100 people. Um, we're gonna discuss specifically the part on John 17:3. He tried to bring up the exclusivity, applying the predicates of nature that are being applied to a person is gonna imply that only that person is going to have those predicates of nature. I'm gonna show you how that's just not true. So let's go ahead and continue. Only true
The
God. That's
only,
literally what I'm saying.
alone, only God.
Like we can literally apply this to anything, right? Like, look, Nash. Do you see the black box?
The unseen by humans.
No, the black box.
So the black box he's talking about is the obviously the freaking black box. But while we were on TikTok live, it was actually like cut off by the screen, so I couldn't see it. So yeah, I do kind of sound dumb right here, but I could not see the black box, and they even recognized that I couldn't see it. Jay?
No, the black box.
No, I don't see it. It's like cut off by the screen.
Okay,
Oh, hold
so
on, hold on, hold on.
there's a
Wait. Hold on.
It says the
Oh,
universe of persons. I
yeah.
see that.
So the black box is the universe of persons. The predicate unseen by humans is going to be true for who?
Father.
Is
According to
this
this diagram, I don't know
is
if
it
this is even correct interpretation of the. So I feel like the most important distinction you can make according to this diagram is that the property of being unseen is going to be a property that is applied to the persons, even according to the diagram. The diagram is specifically discussing right here the universe of persons, right? So if this unseen property is a property that is exclusive only to the Father, it's okay to say that because then the conclusion would just be that the Father is not the same person as Jesus or the Son, right? Which is what the F and the J stand for in this verse. So it's completely fine to say that because they're distinct, they're not each other. That's fine.
it
Verse, but
is. It is. It is. And is that going to be exclusive?
yeah, I'm not just gonna take your word for it. I can engage with the diagram, but this is not the
First,
verse.
okay. No, this isn't John 17:3. I said we can apply this to anything. In this case, it's the predicate of being unseen. So being unseen is exclusively applied to the Father. First Timothy 6:16, saying that the Father alone.
Let me go ahead and read up First Timothy 6:16 real quick, just so for to get the context of the people in the that are listening. Who alone has immortality, dwelling in unapproachable light, whom no man has seen or can see, to whom be honor and everlasting power. Amen. So First Timothy 6:16 doesn't even talk about the Father. It's in reference to God, which is fine to say.
Is unseen by humans. He alone exists within this predicate within the universe of persons.
Is the property of being unseen a property of nature? The reason I ask that is because if he's saying it's a property of nature, then any person that shares the same nature as the Father is going to have the same property of being unseen. But if unseen is a property of person, then it still follows that the Father and the Son can be co-substantial while having different personal properties. So it's okay to say that. Or is it a property of person?
That's okay. In this case, this is going to be a property of person, but that's not. You're sidestepping what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to
Okay,
say
so
is that when you
the
have a
Father could,
universal, when you have a
you can truly be
universal,
God. It's not a universal. First of all,
when
God
you,
is not a universal.
oh my God, that's, oh my days. I'm not talking about, bro. There's no way. There's seriously no way. I'm talking about a statement that is going to be said to be true about a specific universe. In this specific universe is going to be the universe of people. So within the universe of people, there exists one person who is unseen by humans, correct? Okay, so if
Wait,
J is
you
distinct
gotta
from
let me
F,
respond, bro.
so if J is the, you already answered me. So if J is distinct from F or can J ever be inside of the green circle?
So I do draw the distinction, and I make clear the distinction that I'm making. The only way J can share this property of being unseen with F is if F and J share the same nature and unseen is a property of nature. But if being unseen is a property of person, then it's okay to say that they don't share the same properties while still being co-substantial, meaning they are God, but it's still one God. If J shares the same nature as the Father because unseen is a predicate of nature, then yes.
Okay, unseen is going to be a predication of person in this sense
Okay, I
because
want y'all to remember that. He says, in this sense, unseen is going to be a property of person. I don't even necessarily disagree. I just want y'all to remember, unseen is a property of person.
sense
Okay,
because
what's
it's
the argument for that?
identifying a person. Natures can't be seen because natures are abstract unless they're concretized by
Is
people.
God, first of all, if God is a single person, God is identical with his essence. First of all, that's first and foremost.
Is
So
God a
any
single
property,
person?
According to you guys, yes. So I'm going to according to your paradigm.
No, I'm doing an internal critique on you.
Okay, so for those of y'all that don't know, an internal critique is going to be a person who is going to be obviously coming for your position or attacking your position. But an internal critique specifically emphasizes the fact that they are granting your position, which just means that they are saying, okay, let's just say this position is true. How do you reconcile this? How do you reconcile this? How do you reconcile this? So what they're doing is they're granting your position, saying, okay, let's just say this is true and then trying to point out an inconsistency within that position. So when somebody says they're doing an internal critique, they are granting you whatever you believe about that thing and saying, how do you reconcile this? And if it's inconsistent, then they show that it's inconsistent, right? Within your own
You
paradigm.
believe that God is one nature,
Oh,
three
okay.
persons.
If you're doing an internal critique, that's fine then. If J
You
shares the same nature of F, and you're granting my position that unseen is going to be a property of nature, then if unseen is a property of nature and J shares the same nature as F, then yes, they're going to have the
okay?
same
But
predicate.
this nature is what is said to be true about the person,
What?
and that's denoted with exclusivity, meaning that if it's
So he makes a really bad argument here. He says the nature is going to be what's denoted to the person, meaning the person has the nature. And that it's going to be denoted with exclusivity is what he's saying. He's saying this property of being okay, I'll use human terms. Let's say Nash, right? I have a nature of being human. I'm a human being. That's what my nature is, right? I have the nature of being human. Now, this nature of being human is going to be applied to Nash. Nash has the properties of being human. But what he's saying here is that if you have the property of a nature, then you are exclusively of that nature, which isn't true at all, right? It's like saying just because Nash has the properties of being human, Nash is therefore the only human. It does not follow, right? What does follow is that in order to be Nash, you have to be human, but you don't have to be Nash in order to be human. So let's just continue.
meaning that if it's true for this person, then no, it's not true for any other person. And if it is true
That's
for,
not what nature
and
is.
that's the net. Oh my days, you're
It
not paying
is.
attention. You're not paying attention, Nash. If it is said to be true about any other person, then any other person is going to be identical to the Father.
Again, so he's saying that if any other person has this property of nature, then they are going to be identical to the person, to any other person that has these properties of nature, which again does not follow. We can use the examples of human. My father has the property of being human, right? I also, as Nash, have the property of being human. That doesn't mean I am my father, because a human is just what we are. My father is who he is. I am who I am. That's different than what we are. We are both human, but we have different who's, if you would, for lack of a better term, right? We're individual persons while sharing the same nature. And he's saying whenever a nature is predicated of a person, or whenever a person has a nature, then nobody else can have that nature because it's exclusive to the person, which is not true. And you can rewind it and look at the example I just gave of humans. It just doesn't follow.
We can even do it with this case. Immortality.
Not really.
Immortality is exclusively predicated unto the Father. So within the universe of persons, anybody who has immortality, which is a predicate of nature, what is said to be true about the person
You're
is
like,
going to be
oh my God.
exclusive. So
You're
this
like
person or this predicate of
Yeah,
nature.
I'll just describe to everyone what's going on. You're completely conflating an internal critique with your metaphysical principles. You're saying,
Bro's chat and shit.
so for those of y'all that don't understand what I just said, I'll kind of go explain it a little bit because he did kick me right after this. I didn't get to explain what I said. What I said was that you're conflating an internal critique with your own metaphysical principles. And if for those of y'all that don't know what metaphysics is just going to be like the study of being, right? So his idea of nature and person is different than my idea of nature and person. But if he's doing an internal critique, again, remember, he's doing an internal critique. He's granting my position on metaphysics, on my idea of nature and person, right? So if he's granting my idea, but then he's conflating that with his own definitions of what is nature and what is person, like if the nature is predicated the person and the person individually has that nature, then these are not things that I agree to, right? But if he's doing an internal critique, then he has to grant my position, my idea of metaphysics. So what I was saying was you're conflating an internal critique, which is my position, with your own metaphysical principles, meaning I don't have to accept these principles that uh, you're giving to me because I don't agree with them, and you're doing an internal critique. So you're trying to point out an inconsistency in my position. So yeah, I mean, and then he kicks me because I use like the word metaphysics, and he was just like he's just chatting, you know. But it happens. Um, we have more of a video going on later on, but I appreciate y'all for coming in. God bless.